Hi, this is Rossetti's Replicas bringing you another Let's Build. Today's replica will be Tomohawk. Not the most exciting robot, I know. Looked pretty good getting destroyed. Still, it's a good robot to demonstrate how to build an axe weapon, so that's why I've chosen it. So here we go, opening up Robot Arena 2 again. We'll just wait for it to load. Here we go, Team HQ. I happen to know that we've got an empty slot in the rookies, so we'll just go ahead and start out by designing the base of the chassis. It's a sort of wide robot with two covered tank tracks. Sort of had the V shape at the front, and as with a lot of axe robots, had a sort of depression, I guess you'd call it, in between at the front. Little bit for trapping robots and then slicing them with the axe while they're trapped. So I've got the picture over to my left, which you can't see. I was working on looking at rather while I was working on this. And so with a little bit more adjustment, I eventually come up with a shape that I'm happy with. I don't feel the time very well, sort of ad-libbing things to say, which is why I speed it up. Anyways, so right about here I've got a shape I like. So now to make the wedges and shape the top plate. So for this one I'm gonna start out by keeping them snapped to the grid. That means the dots can't go off of those corners of the where the lines meet. I don't know. Do you call them corners? I don't know, but you can see pretty clearly what's going on there. So what I'm trying to do here is make the reverse V shape for those two prong thingies, because that is how Tomohawk happens to have it laid out. So we'll just now I've unsnapped to the grid. That means that I have complete freeform control over the lines. I've gone ahead and messed with the height a little. Now for the fine tuning, you can see now that the wedge where the two I guess they're prongs. They cover the tank tracks. If mine had any, that's where they'd be. You can see they got the sort of the concave V shape as opposed to the convex of the base plate. And with a bit more adjustment, we'll just put the finishing touches on the base plate now. Just inspect it real good, because again, if I don't like this later, the chassis shape, I have to take everything out and start over again. So it's really important that you're happy with the final product. Anyways, let's do those support brackets first of all. We're using the multi-extenders. Those are these neat little pole thingies. They have an attachment point on the left and right sides. And they are invisible when in battle if you mount them to the base plate, so they're really nifty to use because they can fit into tight corners, unlike those clunky base plate anchors that came with the stock version. So I'm kind of eyeballing it here to get them into place. Now for the support brace itself, we'll take this extender, click on that gray thingy. You see it's lit up so that it'll attach, so that it'll stick by the side instead of the front. And there we go, two of those. And you got the support brace that the original had for, I guess, for the axe. So that's one. Now it's real important that the other one be symmetrical. I'm eyeballing it here. I'll show you a better way to do this in a later tutorial, but for now I'm just kind of eyeballing it to get it the same. And I believe I got it on my first try. Not that I'm bragging about how inefficient I'm being here, but anyways, so as before, attachment point side, and goes on like that, parallel to the other one, yes. And now the 60 centimeter one goes there, and that's part of it done right there. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and attach the axe. For this we need a snapper motor, as it's called. It's a bit different from the regular motors because it just fires in an arc and then retracts on its own. So what I'm trying to do here is get it as close to the top and the front as possible. Doesn't always go exactly, but I think I can make do with what I have here. Also want to get it centered, so I'm trying to align that arm thingy, if you will, with the grid line there. That's good. And now for this, what you do is you set the range of motion start and the range of motion end. Don't know if you saw it there. And that'll determine how the path of the swinging weapon. This is pretty much the same story for the flipper weapon, except it fires upwards instead of downwards. So let's go ahead and attach the shaft. It's going to turn out to be a really long one. 100 centimeters isn't going to be enough. So we'll try for the 120, and I don't think that's going to be enough either, but that'll do, because 120, there we go. So that's the range of motion start. Goes all the way around like that. You can start it wherever you want. I'm going to start it right there. Now for the range of motion end, the problem is, as you can see, that it only wants to go about 100 and, what is that, 20 degrees maybe? I don't know. But can't do a full 360, probably not a full 180. I'm thinking that we need to add another, say, 40 centimeters to that, so we'll just take this 40 centimeter extender and add it to that. Super long extender. And now we can go ahead and put the axe itself on. The head, I happen to know that that one looks kind of like Tomohawk's, so we'll go ahead and put it on. And now, as I said, we got to ensure it touches the ground. It does not. So we'll move this part up a little. And you see, yeah, it's a little higher up than I'd like, but if the axe doesn't hit the ground, then it can't hit the other robots, and it's kind of pointless. So we got to set the axe like that. And that'll do, I suppose. Alright, that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and put some wheels on. I know that the original had tracks, but can't exactly do tracks in DSL. We have a set of tracks, but they're big, too bulky for this, too large. They won't look good. What will look better is if we put 4 wheels where the rollers of the tracks would have been. So I'm using these orange and black motors. This was originally for Scorpion. Its weapon spinner had that design. Kind of liked it, so I kept it. And so this is the part with a lot of dithering about. We gotta make sure that the motors are aligned near perfect, otherwise the robot will not go straight. Let's see. In terms of wheels, we want one there that kind of gives it a little clearance, otherwise it won't go. That should be just about right. So now we just need to add 3 more so that they line up with that first one. So you get the idea, so I'll skip most of this part. And through the magic of video editing, we have a perfectly aligned set of wheels in just a few seconds. So next we're going to go ahead and put some batteries in. There we are. And now controller programming. It looks like I lost a bit of footage, but you can see wired up the space bar to fire the axe. We'll put a few more batteries in. And back to controller programming. Pretty standard stuff, left and right for turns. And just like in the last Let's Build, it's clockwise and counterclockwise on all of the drive motors to make it turn. And then up and down for forward and reverse. This time it's clockwise for up, counterclockwise for down, but only on the right side. And we'll just get the other one like so. And on the left side it's counterclockwise and clockwise for up and down respectively. I think this is the opposite of what real robots do. Anyways, here we are on the Armors tab. I didn't show you this last time, but for most robots in DSL, the standard armor is insufficient. So we're going to check that box, erase paint job, because just to show you what happens. Anyways, we got a ton of armors to choose from. Brands of steel, titanium, plastic, and aluminum, or aluminium if you're from England. So I think some maybe aluminum 3 is just about good. You see, when I click on it, it erases the paint job that I had, which was just the standard white, and replaced it with the aluminum texture. So that's what it looks like. It looks pretty cool, but I kind of prefer solid colors. So the robot itself is all done, like all built, so we can go ahead and test it out. The axe is a bit labored to fire, so might want to adjust the range of motion end later. Or rather, the range of motion start, so that the axe goes all the way down. There we go. That's better. See, as long as we're here, let's have it tested out on a couple of objects lying around in the bot lab that they give us to play with. Let's see, we can also test whether or not it can self-write. Or first, let's have it smash up some boxes, rather. There we go. I have the sound muted, but it makes a very satisfying smashing noise when you hit those crates. There we go, so it's very quick, kind of like kilohertz. And now let's test if it can self-write. Let's overbalance it, and it's on its back, and if it were able to self-write, it would be from the retraction of the axe, but no, it cannot. Yeah, in Robot Arena 2, it's very easy to build a robot that is so over fast that it tips itself over when it turns, and this is another way to flip it over. We got this ramp here, and we can drive it over the ramp until it lands upside down, which is what I'm doing here. So quite a bit more fun than the flipping yourself by oversteering. Hopefully I'll get it right soon enough so that I don't have to edit this footage. I don't have to cut any of it out. Once more is a charm. I think it worked on the next go. Just had to get a good running start at it. Right. Trying to tip over. There we go. So, can it self-right when the axe is fired? I am firing it. Don't know if you can see. It's twitching a little. So that could be a problem. It cannot self-right. Maybe I'll give it a more powerful motor. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just leave that as its Achilles heel. Well, anyways, that's enough of that. Let's go ahead into the paint lab, which I don't normally use, but it's good to do small jobs like this. You can see I can click on an individual panel to have it be whatever color I've selected there. Trying to find that exact right shade of gray that Tomahawk was. Let's see. So we're just playing around with the slider for now. Eventually I'll get it. A little darker. So that one looks pretty decent. I'm gonna go ahead and fill it in on all the panels. Back panel was black, I think, and we'll paint the bottom black so that it looks like everything else is a shell. And here's something cool you can do with the paint lab, because the front bulldozer blade, I guess you call it, was tipped with, like, at the bottom a couple of slightly shinier blades, and for that part I will draw them myself and paint or something. So we'll go ahead and take this decal and stick it on the place where the blades were. Rotating. I can rotate it, and I can use that slider bar in the bottom right to make it big or small. So there we go, that's the area of the blade. So we'll just mark it off for ourselves. Takes a bit of trial and error, but that looks pretty good. And we're gonna mark off the hole that they cut in the top for the axe. Gotta get that perfectly straight, which is harder than it would seem. It doesn't really want to do a perfect 90-degree rotation. Takes a little bit of trial and error. You can see me abusing the undo button, which I'm glad that there is. And now once they're set, what we can do is, once they're set, that is, we can export the paint job to paint or paint.net or whatever, and draw over the area that the decals occupy with whatever color the blades would be. Black for that slot for the axe. And it sort of works like painter's tape, so that'll be a helpful little thing to do. Now what we need is a smart zone, so that when this is AI'd, it will know when to fire the axe. The smart zone is a cube thingy. You can't see it because it would look kind of silly to have that 3D cube in front of a robot, which is why you never see him in battle, even though all my bots that have axes and flippers use them. But what I've done is hit F12, brings up this green and red primitive 3D thingy, and now what I want to do is set the smart zone so that it is in the axe's range, so that Tomahawk will fire its axe whenever another robot is in range, and the smart zone tells them when it's in range. So we want it to cleave through the smart zone like that. And now for AIing purposes, we call it weapon, lowercase w, important. And then for the button that fires it, we call that fire. This time you do use capitals. Left, right, capital L and R, and forward. And I took care of finalizing the paint job after I was done with this, but you get the idea. That is Tomahawk completed, so look forward to it. So, with regards to Series 3, the estimated time of arrival, which I'm sure a lot of you are wondering about, is May 2013. I know that's a long ways away, but trust me, that is as soon as I can do it. Schoolwork, unfortunately, I'm gonna be asked to write a thesis in January, which I'm not looking forward to. I don't want to pledge that I can get this done before I can. However, I'm doing a little thing that'll maybe help me pass on my anticipation to you. In terms of video games, there are several that I've been anticipating, some more in vain than others. Here's a list of games. If any of them have an American release date announced before May, I will start Series 3 early. Here's the list. Thief 4, Miles Edgeworth 2, that's in the Phoenix Wright franchise. Phoenix Wright 5, Thief 4, did I say that already? I don't know. Emphasis on that one then, because that game is at least a decade overdue. Half-Life 2 Episode 3, and a sequel to Chibi Robo. I haven't heard any plans that they're working on it, but if they are, then everybody wins. And Portal 3, I know it's way too soon to be expecting that, but if it is, no complaints from me. So, there, now you all are anticipating the same things that I am. And plus, if you have any backs you can scratch or strings you can pull in the industry, maybe use them to help me, and I'll help you with Series 3. Alright, thank you for watching. I suppose leave questions, leave comments in the comments section. I might do more of these, we'll see. So, bye for now.